Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're once again back in Warframe for another build, and this time we're having a look at the Stug. And no, this is not a very late April's Fool's video. This is actually an okay gun now, and all thanks to the Incarnon form. And this weapon used to be a massive meme because it had no status chance, and because of how the projectiles work, which is a bit interesting. But yeah, it's so much better now, and it actually is able to kill very high level enemies. And with the introductions out of the way, let's jump into the build. And let's start from the Incarnon form. The first evolution is what allows you to change the weapon into its, well, Incarnon form. To do that, you have to charge the meter first, and you do this by direct hitting enemies. The explosion of the blobs will also charge your meter a little bit, so any kind of hit works as long as you're hitting enemies. And when you have your meter full, or whenever you feel like, you can activate the Incarnon form by pressing your Alt fire button. And while in Incarnon form, you'll start firing this bouncing corrosive blobs instead of the usual sticky ones, and they are very chaotic, which is very fun. Then for the evolution 2, we have two choices, and I kind of swap between the two, although I must say the second one is kinda useless unless you're also using the mod for more blast range, because the weapon at base only has 0.3 meters of blast range, which is absolutely nothing. While for the first option, although we have less base damage, we gain more multi-shot, which means we'll be firing more projectiles, which means more bouncing, which means more chaos, which means more fun. Then for evolution 3, this is gonna be your preference, your choice, absolutely up to you, because all of these are kinda whatever. I went for more real speed because I'm gonna use a mod for projectile speed, so that's why I kinda wanted to at least get something out of this. And the third evolution is, honestly, in my opinion, not that important, because having more magazine capacity only works on the primary fire mode, and we won't be using that much with this weapon. And lastly, for evolution 4, although we have choices that give us crit chance, status chance, or a lot more crit, I feel like that this weapon really needs the status chance, because that's the only thing it was missing. So now, with status chance, and the fact that it is doubled on your Incarnon form, we can reach a lot of status chance and do some very funny things. And this is the build I'll be using for today's video. It basically focuses all on just having a lot of status chance, so I'm even using Sure Shot and not Galvanized Shot because the extra effect doesn't work, so at this point I might as well just get the extra 10% status chance. This only works on the damage the projectile deals when it lands on the enemy, none when it explodes, and the same applies for the little bouncy ones, so it's not useful in this case, at least from my testings. And so this is just your usual Cascadia Flare full hit build, plus the additional corrosive that this weapon has just at base, which is pretty cool. We're also pumping our status damage with Pistol Elementalist, gaining even more radial speed, which is always nice to have, and we also use little momentum to make the projectiles fly faster and further away without us having to aim our shots too much. I also have another build that uses enjoyt instead, and although this build is quite similar, it does not deliver the same amount of damage that this build does, but it's a fun one to test and use if you want to try it out. I think it's pretty interesting. Now I want to mention that on my arrows I have 2 green shards with +2 stacks to corrosive, and this allows me to armor ship enemies just by using the corrosive status effect, and since this weapon is able to apply corrosive by itself, we are armor shipping enemies while also applying heat, meaning we are dealing a lot more damage. So I might be dealing more damage than you if you're not also using 2 green shards, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that this weapon will work perfectly even without those, and I'll show that in the testing in a second. Alright, so that's everything for the build, so let's now see it in action. And as always, I'll be testing against 20 corrupted heavy gunners level 235 with steel path modifiers. So some pretty tanky enemies, but nothing too crazy, something you can find in your usual missions, I'd say. And to start, we have of course to charge the meter, which is the little bar underneath our scope, and we do that by just hitting enemies with our projectiles, and the explosion will also charge the meter a little bit for us, which I think it's pretty cool. Which means we can just, you know, walk around, wait for the explosion to trigger, and we have a lot of meter charged. Now, this weapon also gets quite a lot of ammo from the Incarnon form, which helps because we kind of want to be in Incarnon form all the time, so the more ammo we have, the better. And we also need to restack the buff here, the Blazing Barrel, for our multi-shot after we change the weapon into its Incarnon form, because transforming the weapon into its Incarnon form is considered reloading, and so it resets the count. A little bit annoying, but I guess that's probably fine. But yeah, after that, we can just start firing around the weapon and stacking up our Cascadia Flare. And, well, status damage. Now that we actually can see it on the health bar, this weapon is absolutely insane. Like, if you want to use a status weapon, this is the one. And the amount of damage you get from the status procs is crazy high. Like, I've seen upwards of like 340,000 per hit tick, which is absolutely crazy. It is completely insane. It's not rivaling the Furious Incarnon, that is still the king in my opinion. But damn, this weapon is pretty cool and very fun. Once again, you have all the little bouncy projectiles on the ground, which, yeah, they are very fun to watch. They are very, very fun to watch. Now let's swap to someone else that doesn't have those green shards, and you'll see that the results are pretty much the same, although, of course, the damage might be a little bit lower. Not by much, just a little bit. But yeah, this is without removing their armor completely. And it's pretty much the same results. So yeah, whoever says that the Stug is bad now, it's probably just referring to the normal version, because this little thing is pretty damn good now. So yeah, that is the Stug Incarnon. Honestly, I was expecting much worse from this weapon, and from my initial testings, it didn't look like it was gonna actually deal damage, but damn, the E actually cooked and saved the Stug. From now on, nobody will joke about the Stug anymore, because if you get the Incarnon form of this weapon, it's pretty good. Yeah, so I guess no more April Fool's videos, guys. Those are done for. Anyways, I'll now leave you guys to Showcase, where I test this weapon for 5 minutes in a Grenade plus Survival, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.
Wanna pretend I